All right. So if you do not know, Joe Rogan put out a response video for everything's going on with him and Spotify. Because back then, oh, before I say, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I would really much appreciate it. But you're talking about Neil Young and other artists pulling their music out of Spotify because of the COVID vaccine misinformation that he's been pulling out, and then yeah, that's pretty much what's going on and why he's made this response video. But let's just go over it right now and give you my thoughts on this video.
Hello, friends. I wanted to make a video to address some of the controversy that's been going on over the past few days. And first of all, to say thank you to everyone that sent love and support. I truly, truly appreciate it. And it's been very nice to hear from you. I wanted to make this video, first of all, because I think there's a lot of people that have a distorted perception of what I do, maybe based on sound bites or based on headlines of articles that are disparaging. The podcast has been accused of spreading dangerous misinformation, specifically about 2 episodes, a little bit about some other ones, but specifically.
It's not really just 2 episodes, man. You're kind of lying about that because I remember back even before I started streaming, I kept hearing news after news after news about how like each new fucking episode he put out, like he put out even more misinformation if it didn't come from him, because some of it does come from him, and a lot of it more I think most of it comes from the guests he has on.
About 2. One with Dr. Peter McCullough and one with Dr. Robert Malone. Dr. Peter McCullough is a cardiologist, and he is the most published physician in his field in history. Dr. Robert Malone owns 9 patents on the creation of mRNA vaccine technology and is at least partially responsible for the creation of the technology that led to mRNA vaccines. Both these people are very highly credentialed, very intelligent, very accomplished people, and they have an.
Okay, so there's something about this. It's just that even though those 2 guys do, if I'm just gonna believe him here, whatever, if those 2 guys actually have those credentials on their back, at least that's good. Some people can actually like fall off, get L'd, get plus ratioed, and get all that shit, get disliked, So I guess they just fell off because the shit that I actually looked up for them, and how I forget which one, but one of them actually put out that ivermectin was actually a good fucking treatment to combat COVID, which is just not true at all. So again, they probably either A, just lost their minds, or B, they're just grifting.
Very intelligent, very accomplished people, and they have an opinion that's different from the mainstream narrative. I wanted to hear what their opinion.
That right there, when he says, oh, they had an opinion that's against the mainstream narrative, that right there shows to me that he just wants to, tension is just to go against like the mainstream media, and he's putting out a narrative right now that makes him look better.
Yes. I had them on, and because of that, those episodes in particular, those episodes were labeled as being dangerous. They had dangerous misinformation in them. The problem I have with the term misinformation, especially today, is that many of the things that we thought of as misinformation just a short while ago are now accepted as fact. Like, for instance, 8 months ago, if you said, if you get vaccinated, you can still catch COVID and you can still spread COVID, you would be removed from social media.
Now, this is why I say I do not believe Joe Rogan at all. He's not being sincere here. He's actually being insincere about this whole situation. He's just like putting out a narrative. He's not sorry. He's not apologetic. He's nothing right now, because no one has ever said fuck it, there cannot be breakthrough infections when you're vaccinated. No one has ever said there hasn't been. The vaccines are 100% effective against COVID. All the shit that people have been saying are that the vaccines early on, very, very early on, are like 90% effective. So, of course, the 10% can get broken through, and no one was being fucking taken off social media because they said that the vaccines were not 100% effective against COVID. So he's just lying here. Okay.
But they would ban you from certain platforms. Now, that's accepted as fact. If you said, I don't think cloth masks work, I don't think cloth masks work, you would be banned from social media.
I have never heard anybody being banned from social media for saying that.
Now, that's openly and repeatedly stated on CNN.
I think now also is that comes from the conservative mindset that whenever you see something new, something like factual that is actually, more fact than fucking what you thought before. So you change your opinion, and you change your opinion to something that's more factual. Like everybody says, like Trump keeps pelling back when fucking what's his name, the big guy that fucking everybody talks about that's in the government talks mostly about COVID. What's his name? What the fuck is his name? Uh, damn it, I can't remember his name. But if you know what I'm talking about, is him. They said that how he didn't think Max would work, but then later on, he saw more. He saw more evidence that showed that Max actually worked. I think thing he said before why he said Max didn't work because he didn't want people to come out and buy all that masks, and they didn't have enough masks to give to scientists and doctors that worked in hospitals to get them effective because they were up in front lines. So they're the ones that actually needed the mask the most out of anybody else. But a lot of people point to that. But if that actually happened, he did change his mind later on. He said masks are like a lot of very effective against COVID, wearing them, so they see it as like a weakness whenever you change your mind into like seeing how you're wrong at some point, and then you change your mind into believing something better when you see something has more facts on it to back you up. They don't really see that shit, so it's weird.
If you said, I think it's possible that COVID-19 came from a lab, you'd be banned from many social media platforms. Now that's on the cover of Newsweek. All of those theories that at one point in time were banned were openly discussed by those two men that I had on my podcast that have been accused of dangerous misinformation. I do not know if they're right. I don't know because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a person who sits down and talks to people and has conversations with them. Do I get things wrong? Absolutely, I get things wrong, but I try to correct them. Whenever I get something wrong, I try to correct it because I'm in.
That's a damn lie. Hold on, let's see if I can find this. When he said, "Oh, I'll try to correct them," that's a damn lie. But I'm gonna go on Twitter, so I have to show you guys my face real quick. Yeah, my beautiful face. But because Twitter has a lot of shit. Let's see if I hopefully I have that. I still have that video. Yes, right over here. I have it right over here. So when he says, "Oh, he's gonna correct himself whenever he finds his opinions are to be wrong," like right over here, this video completely proves him wrong about this and shows that he's like ideological. He doesn't like he fights against actually good information and shit when it comes to this video that I'm about to show y'all.
For young boys in particular, there's an adverse risk associated with the vaccine. It's like a 2 to 4 fold increase in the instances of myocarditis.
Yes, but you know what?
Hospitalization.
You know that there's an increased risk of myocarditis among that age cohort from getting COVID as well, which exceeds the risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. No. I don't think it's true that there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID that are young versus increased risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
No, there is. There's both.
Well, let's look that up because I don't think that's true. Myocarditis more common after COVID-19 infection than vaccination. But is this with children? Yeah, we're talking about young people.
Men and boys aged under 30 after this is what it says.
Yeah, men and boys.
With children is the issue.
Well, no, we were talking about 15-year-olds.
Well, we're talking about young children.
Male child. 12 to 17.
12 to 17 more likely to develop myocarditis within 3 months of catching COVID at a rate of 450 cases per million infection. This compares to 67 cases of myocarditis per million at the same time following their second dose of Pfizer.
Yeah, so you're about 8 times likelier to get myocarditis from getting COVID than from getting the vaccine.
That's interesting.
Now,
that is not what I've read before, but also it's like, even when we're reading these things, it's like, what are we getting this from? Was this from the VAERS report? But even
he's fighting against
the VAERS reports when they report this stuff.
He doesn't believe it, even though it's wrong.
It's the
he's wrong, and it shows that he's wrong. So you can see right here that when he says he corrects his points of view, he's just not true at all.
Interested in telling the truth. I'm interested in finding out what the truth is. And I'm interested in having interesting conversations with people that have differing opinions. I'm not interested in only talking to people that have one perspective. That's one of the reasons why I had Sanjay Gupta on, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who I respect very much, and I really enjoyed our conversation together. He has a different opinion than those men do. I had Dr. Michael Osterholm on at the very beginning of the pandemic.
So when did he have those two people? Because right here he said he has that other doctor in the very beginning of the pandemic. Now, as you can see, where we were in the very beginning of the pandemic is very different from where we are right now. We barely knew anything else about COVID in the very beginning of the pandemic. So he can't pat himself on the back, because right now we know a lot more about COVID and what COVID does to people. And we actually have vaccinations around right now than we did in the beginning of the pandemic. And that's where everybody's like, that's where Joe Rogan is peddling misinformation most of the time when it comes to COVID-19 vaccination instead of like the actual pandemic, you know. So you can't pat yourself on the back for that, dog.
He is on President Biden's COVID-19 advisory board. I had Dr. Peter Hotez on, who is a vaccine expert. I'm interested in finding out what is correct, and I'm also finding out how people come to these conclusions and what the facts are. Now, because of this controversy, and I'm sure there's a lot of other things going on behind the scenes with these controversies, but Neil Young has removed his music from the platform of Spotify, and Joni Mitchell and apparently some other people want to as well. I'm very sorry that they feel that way. I most certainly don't want that.
And that's why I got Apple Music instead of Spotify right there.
I'm a Neil Young fan. I've always been a Neil Young fan. I'll tell you a story at the end of this about that. One of the things that Spotify wants to do that I agree with is that at the beginning of these controversial podcasts, like specifically ones about COVID, is to put a disclaimer and say that you should speak with your physician, and that these people and the opinions that they express are contrary to the opinions of the consensus of experts, which I think is very important. Sure, have that on there. I'm very happy with that.
When it comes to that, I like it too. I think I would like it even more if they actually put in like a link. I don't know how Spotify actually works, especially when it comes to like podcasts and shit. So I don't know if there's like a description or something whenever like he does video episodes like those. I would like it so they can put like a link underneath, and like it specifically takes you like to the CDC or like something like YouTube does, like Twitter does, you know. I would like that a lot if they added that with what he's saying right now.
Also, I think if there's anything that I've done that I could do better is have more experts with differing opinions right after I have the controversial ones. I would most certainly be open to doing that. And I would like to talk to some people that...
I don't like that because he doesn't push back when it comes to the scientists that are like absolutely wrong because they're against like the whole consensus about like COVID-19 and the pandemic and vaccinations and shit. So I would much prefer him if he does have a guest on that like is against like the scientific consensus. I would like him to add a good actually a good scientist that actually is on and is likes, or that it has his mindset over the scientific consensus, you know, and you know they can go on and debate each other. Although when it comes to the guy who is anti-scientific consensus, he will probably have a lot more media training because a lot of people will probably see his face and he's probably like making a lot more money because he's like grifting and shit. So if the other guy who's for the scientific consensus, if he has, you know, more media training as well, and he knows how to like debate his views, I would very much appreciate it. Just play the vid, bro. Dog, you don't understand how this shit goes, all right? I'm pausing the video every time I fucking disagree with him, all right? That's how this goes. That's how I've been doing it. This is how I'm going to continue doing it. If you don't like it, then fuck you.
Have differing opinions on those podcasts in the future. We'll see. You know, I do all the scheduling myself, and I don't always get it right. These podcasts are very strange because they're just conversations, and oftentimes I have no idea what I'm going to talk about until I sit down and talk to people, and that's why some of my ideas are not that prepared or fleshed out, because I'm literally having them in real time. But I do my best, and they're just conversations, and I think that's also the...
Wait, Joe Rogan is awesome. I used to like Joe Rogan. I don't like him no more. He hasn't said enough to disagree with. I disagree with you on that. I think he has said plenty enough times to disagree with. And in the earlier video, he said like people were banned because people said the vaccines were 100% effective, so they're banned off social media for saying that. That's just not true. He's just straight up lying. No one has ever been banned for saying that the vaccines are not 100% effective against COVID-19. He's just lying right there.
Appeal of the show. It's one of the things that makes it interesting. I want to thank Spotify for being so supportive during this time. And I'm very sorry that this is happening to them and that they're taking so much heat from it. And so now the Neil Young story. When I first of all, I'm not mad at Neil Young.
I think you're twisting his words. How am I twisting his words, dog? He literally said, okay, let's go back. All right, we're going back. All right.
Of mRNA vaccine technology and is at least partially responsible for the creation of the technology that led to mRNA. Intelligent, very accomplished. And because of that, those episodes in particular, those episodes were labeled as being dangerous. They had dangerous misinformation.
Okay, it's not
many
here.
of the things that we thought of as misinformation just a short while ago are now accepted as fact. Like, for instance, 8 months ago, if you said, if you get vaccinated, you can still catch COVID and you can still spread COVID.
That's 100% true. Always. That's always been 100%.
You'd be removed from social media.
But that's right
They
shit.
would ban you from certain platforms.
That's just not true. No one has ever been banned for saying that. And scientists have been saying that for the beginning of the pandemic, whenever we first fucking got them out. So I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about. But yeah, see, there you go. I'm not twisting his words at all.
Lawn area during the Neil Young concert, they got a little rowdy. It was cold out, and they started bonfires. So they had these raging fires.
Oh, he's talking about
on the lawn.
let's go back over here.
Spotify for being so supportive during this time, and I'm very sorry that this is happening to them and that they're taking so much heat from it. And so now the Neil Young story. When
All right, that's pretty much it. What he was talking about. Wait, but yeah, that's this whole video. I want to talk about it.